This is a deep diving crankbait. It's used primarily in the summer by most people, but depending on what lake you're fishing, if you have a lake that doesn't have a tremendous amount of current or water fluctuation, the fish will stay deep all year. So you can fish this. This particular bait is a 10XD, and you fish it from about 15 to about 24 feet is where it'll be fine. And at 15 feet, a lot of times you're just throwing a bigger bait than you need, but the amount of disturbance that it'll make digging the bottom hard will trigger a lot of bites. So a lot of times you throw a deeper diving crankbait than what you need to touch the bottom. Sometimes you want it to really dig into the bottom. So if this plug goes 25 feet deep, it's okay to throw it. It's really beneficial to throw it in 12 and 15 feet water on top, because it kicks a mud trail up behind it. You want to fish it on like a 7'6" half to 3 ounce rod, something with a moderate tip, 10 or 12 pound line, depending on how rough. If you're throwing it where there's a lot of standing timber and that sort of thing, you want to fish it with 12 pound line. But you can fish it all year long depending on what lake you're on. This is a square bill crankbait. The square bill helps it deflect off of cover, deflects off of rocks and blowdowns and that sort of thing. Boat dock pilings. And a lot of times when it deflects, it's when you'll get a bite. When it's swimming along, and then it'll hit something and deflect off, and then you'll get a bite. But they're better, and you can use them all year long, depending on where you're at. But they're better in the winter time because they have a tighter wobble as to where this plug finds the bottom. It swims to the bottom. This plug right here essentially will vibrate down to its depth. And fish, when it's cold, they want something that they don't have to chase, something that stays on a direct course. If that makes sense. Instead of darting, they want it coming. They want the vibration and they want the tight wobble. So a tighter wobble is better in cold weather, for sure. And a lot of times a flat-sided bait, more flat-sided than this Lucky Craft. Sometimes a flat-sided bait, even with a square bill, will have an even tighter wobble. And if the water gets super cold, like 45, 46 to 48, you want something with as tight a wobble as you can get. And sometimes, after it deflects off of whatever you're fishing, you just slow it down and wind it just about as slow as you can wind it in the cold weather. Buzz bait. It's a 3/8. This is a half-ounce buzz bait. It's good. People will fish it at different times of the year, but it's best in the late spring, early summer, and then throughout the entire fall. It'll be good. You can get this is like this is a clacking buzz bait. You can bring it up to where you don't have the clack, or you can bend it down to where it'll just barely touch the head and make just a small clacking noise, or you can bend it even further down and it'll make a really significant clacking noise. The louder the better. Typically in the early spring or late spring, you want it to make a lot of noise. The more clacking the better. The hotter it gets, you want it to quieten it down. You want to get the blade off of the head. But then again in the fall, when it'll start cooling back down, just a small touch of the blade when it goes by. And a popping frog. A popping frog is good in heavy vegetation, blow down trees, and up in the summer, especially on rivers, anywhere that you can get it in the shade. You can get it in the shade and you work it in the summer as fast as you can. You pop it as fast as you can. as to where, like, if you're fishing it when the water's cooler, you want to pop it and let it sit for a minute, and pop it and let it sit. But in the heat of the summer, you want to pop it. Just steady pop it and keep twitching your rod, and just throw it up under all the shade that you can find. And I mean, on the frog, you want to fish it with a heavy action rod, 65-pound braid. But I like to throw it with a heavy action rod that's got a moderate tip, to where you're not taking the bait away from the fish. So you want to have a little give in your rod, because you're fishing with heavy braided line, and the line has no give. So a lot of times he'll come up and he'll bite it, and if you're watching it, you'll see it and you'll pull it away. You'll pull it away from him, as to where if you've got a little moderate tip, just that split second of it sitting there, even if you react too early, it still gives him a chance to get the bait. So that's pretty much those 1, 2, 3, 4 baits right there.